everyone. I'm Kendria. I need you to go like, follow, and subscribe. Soul Productions.
What's up, everyone? And this is Next Level Thinking.
What's up, everyone? It's another episode of Next Level Thinking, where we always inspire you to take it to the next level. It's your host, Chris Holmes, as always, but today I have a special guest by the name of
Cynae Punch Brown.
Nice. So before we hit the ground running, tell the audience just a little bit about yourself so they get to know you a little bit more.
All right, well, I'm a proud graduate of the Howard University, so I am forever a Bison. I'm also a member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, the finest sorority in the land.
She made sure she got her founders out there.
Don't get me going.
Okay.
But I'm a wife, I'm a mom, I'm an educator, I'm a student, I'm a writer. And I think that's why I'm here today. I'm an author and really just trying to get the message out about what I'm doing and what I'm trying to do and what I'm called to do. So thanks for having me.
Oh, no problem. It sounds like you wear many hats and then you kind of got a cape over there at the same time. You pulling a superwoman, wife, you know, got the author, you know, she can save people from a burning building at this rate. And then she's going to represent our organization to the fullest. So don't forget that.
Yes.
So let's go about a little bit more in depth into the roots of everything. So how did a little bit all this start? Like, where was like the inspiration before we go in a little bit more depth?
Right. So the inspiration actually came from my childhood. Real quick, when I was 7 years old, my mom passed away. My whole life she was sick, so I always saw a sick mom. I saw her deteriorate, and that's what I saw from the time that I can remember to the time that she expired. And I was an avid reader, and reading and writing actually are what I did to cope with everything, just in life, even while she was alive. But when I went to find a book that represented me and how do I get through this, there was nothing. But I was still too young, and in the Black community, quite honestly and transparently, we don't do mental health, or we haven't traditionally done mental health well. So we didn't see a counselor, my brother and I. We didn't go through that process. So my grieving was more organic. And so by the time I got to be 14, I said, you know what, I'm going to write a book, because I don't want any other 7-year-olds having to look for themselves on the shelves of a library or a bookstore. And so that is what planted the seed. And clearly I tell everybody I am no longer 14, but after I had my first baby, that book came, and there's some things that motherhood will do to you that call things out. That's why that's always one of my superpowers that I share. I am a mother, because that brought a lot out of me.
Yep. And now I want to go a little bit more depth and kind of pivot back, because you hit on something that actually is a lot more becoming more popular, more awareness, is mental health. Because I know a lot of times, and this comes a lot of times from my professor, depending on culture or how your upbringings and things like that, the way that you see different things. And a lot of times, this is me being from my own perspective, when it comes to mental health, we a lot of times just kind of shrug it off and ain't nothing. Just tough it out, and just go to most commonly like the religious practice and things like that. And there wasn't really a focus on that. People were, especially in the African American community, think it's just a little something just to get over. But now, especially now that you have a lot more awareness, and people are saying like you need to actually reach out to others so you can relate to people now.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I definitely can sign off on that. And some people think it's a socioeconomic thing, and that it's only a certain cross-section of folks who don't go and see counselors. Well, I was raised in a middle-class home, and we went to church, so just kind of like what you said with the religious practices, more or less it was, let's pray on it and keep moving. Matter of fact, I'll just be very real. My mom's wake was on a Friday, funeral was on a Saturday, and my brother and I, we sang and we played piano and vocals, and went to church on Sunday, and I was back in school on Monday. I actually remember sitting at my little kiddie table that my mom had bought me, doing homework on the Sunday night so I could go to school for Monday. And that's not a healthy place. Like I will say my dad did what he could, because I'm sure he wasn't expecting to lose his wife, and he was grieving as well. But I do feel like that shined a light for me. Now that I'm older, I'm an advocate for, it's all right if you got to go see somebody. You can pray and see a counselor at the same time. It's cool. Especially with young children, making sure that they go through the grieving process appropriately. So you hit it spot on. Like, a lot of times in our community, we've hidden behind the religious practices, and it's time out for that, because we're losing so many babies. And that's really what pineapple sugar is about. It's not a remedy. It's not a catch-all. It was more or less my way of starting a conversation, not just with those who are grieving and have lost, but those who are caring for them as well.
And I'm glad we're hitting on that, because that's like when I was talking about earlier, like most commonly we do a lot of religious practices and thrown under, because what's happened sadly is a lot of teenagers and youth of age feel like no one understands them, when in actual reality there's so many other different people out there that can relate or have similar stories or situations where they have overcome that. And when you don't communicate, which is foundation to everything, they feel like they're alone, when there's been people that have been in that situation or even way worse to overcome. But if you're not talking or reaching out, or they don't know if they can reach out, they feel like they're just trapped. And I feel like that's a dangerous state of mind to be in, when you feel like you're kind of trapped and you're just there.
And it's also oppressive. Interesting that you say that. Some of my biggest supporters have been my sorors of Delta Sigma Theta. I actually was part of the Delta Alphas on tour in the Southwest region, and a chapter invited me out to do a book talk. Now, that was my first opportunity to actually speak to adults as a whole about this particular book. And because really it started out as my air quote ministry for young people, but they read the book and they wanted me to come out and speak. And when I tell you, the room was filled with women of all ages, but specifically I can remember a woman who had to be in her mid-60s, early 70s, and she's weeping, and she's talking about how the book touched her because it struck a nerve, it struck a chord about a grieving process that she had years before. And that really opened eyes, because I do believe that she had said that she had seen a counselor per se, but we don't give an opportunity. We don't always create spaces to start the conversation. And we always want to say, check on your strong friends, check on your such and such friends, but we don't exactly know how. We don't know what to say. And the longer that the time has been since I've written this book, the more I'm seeing the different avenues that God is allowing me to take in just presenting this book. That's why I'm so thankful for opportunities such as yourself giving me these, because every day is something new. I'm learning something new about people, about how I can help. And that's kind of just where I am, just looking and seeing that it's not just young people, because young people grow up to be older people who are oppressed by their own emotions.
Exactly.
Because nobody took time to unpack them with them. You know what I'm saying?
Yep, and they just feel trapped. So and that's why I'm so glad that we're getting into this, and it goes even deeper than that, because I'm gonna go even deeper. So there's some situations where you have kids, youth, or even adults that are like mostly homebody, and like their only outlook is like the people or close to them, like family members or possibly friends. And a lot of times they can be getting bad advice and not knowing that they can reach out outside of them. But if you're constantly surrounded by negative energy and just kind of shoved back into that inner circle, I mean, that's also a bad situation. So it's great to educate others along the world and the nation, and that there's other resources and people that you can actually relate to. And I'm glad you hit on that point where where your story pretty much impacts somebody's lives, because that's what I wanted to hit on earlier, is you never know what your story, your lifestyle, or situation may impact to others. And that's why I'm a strong believer is telling your story, because you never know, someone may need to hear that, and you can make a great connection with that person to help them, or it may even help yourself, because at the end of the day, we're all human beings.
Right. Yeah, I'm finding that a lot. Just again, bringing motherhood, adulthood into the conversation. A lot of times, you heard people say, "Parenthood doesn't come with the manual," and you're like, "Okay, whatever." But you become a you become a parent, and you're like, "Man, it sure doesn't." And I will tell you, my roughest moments have been healed by people saying, "Oh, girl, that's normal. Let me tell you about what so and so and such did when they were 5 years old, or 4 years old, or 3 years old." So, in the same mindset, just sharing your story, sharing "Oh, girl, that's normal. Oh, girl, I went through that and I made it through." That's kind of what I'm trying to do. And I've come to an age where it's like, you know what, God, my experiences that I've had, they've made me who I am. The good, the bad, the ugly, the beautiful. It's all made me who I am. And if it can help somebody as I pass this way, then my living won't be in vain, as the song says.
Exactly. Now to kind of pivot and kind of do a quick 180, and that's why I'm a strong believer of hanging around people that will be a positive influence in your life, giving great value, someone you can learn from, a mentor, a coach, or someone who was in a situation where you want to be in the future, because positive energy is what we all need every day. I mean, and this is one thing that I feel like a lot of people don't say, but I'm one of the few that actually say about it. Our top leaders around the world, even the people athletes and much more, have their down times. They're not perfect. They're gonna have times when they get down too, and I'm pretty sure that they have someone that they want to speak out or reach out to. So none of this is like, I don't know, isn't out of reach or like something they haven't faced. So everybody's stories can be relate.
Right. I can actually say something that I've always said anytime I'm given an opportunity to talk about my writing and just my writing journey. My mentor, and I'm happy to call her mentor, but more or less I know her as Auntie, in one of those "Hey Auntie" kind of
Auntie.
Because we're not blood related, but when I was 10 years old, I read a book called "Thank You, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr." And it's written by an author named Eleanor E. Tate. I remember I was in 4th grade, and I had a question about the book. And so in all of my infinite wisdom, I wrote a letter to the author. I just opened the book, and I found an address, and I sent my letter. And honey, let me tell you, that author not just wrote me. She didn't write me. I guess I put the name of my school. She found the name of my school, called me. I got called to the principal's office.
Oh, you were like, what? Wait, you were like, what?
Yeah, I was like, hold up. But on the phone, the librarian was so excited. "There's an author on the phone for you." She called me, and at that time, I went to a predominantly Caucasian school. So that in and of itself, and Eleanor Tate is a dynamic African-American writer. And so since that time, off and on, I've kept in touch with her over the years. In fact, my first version of Pineapple Sugar, she marked it up and told me to go back to the drawing board lovingly. But I reached out to her, and then to this day, now afterwards, we communicate regularly. Like when there were hurricanes, we were communicating back and forth, making sure everybody was all right. And I'm saying this to say there's a certain boldness that we have to foster in our young people, because no matter what my family did or did not do, I thought enough of myself to be worthy to write an author and expect a response back. And from that it spawned like a 20-plus year relationship that now is more solid. Like she calls me her niece. She literally, every time I call her, "Hey niece, how you doing, niece?" And just that mentorship, and it didn't look in the traditional sense, but it was mentorship nonetheless, because I could lean on her and ask questions, and she would give of her heart and give of her knowledge and wisdom to me.
And
so
that's
I'm thankful for her.
And that's what it's all about. And I'm glad you hit on that, because that's one of my favorite subjects. Is I put in the word like this, is stepping beyond sight, or how some would say step out on faith, because a lot of times, yes. You were like, come on and preach. But it's good. It's all cool, but it's very true, because I don't care like what kind of culture, religion, race, or where you come from. Fear is along a lot of our lifestyles, and a lot of times when it comes from what stops a lot of people from achieving where they're destined to be is the fear of others. Like they say, you may not want to do that because it may not work out, or it didn't work out too well for me, or their friends may be like, no, that's okay, but you may want to go here because I know most people have gone here. It's like they say, okay, this is what it seems impossible, but settle for this because it's comfortable. But you never really truly grow when you stay comfortable. And I always like to use the analogy of going to the weight room. Like when you go to a weight room, you don't put on 5 or 10 or just the bar and just lift it in the weight room and expect to get stronger. That's not gonna cut it. That's not gonna happen. It's like straight up. Like you over here doing this, so I don't care how many reps you on, you're not gonna get strong. Just putting that bar on with no weights. It's a funny analogy, but it's all the truth because it can relate to life. But once you put something on 45, 10, 13, I mean whatever, on 35s or more weight on there, you start to struggle, and that part of the struggle is part of the journey to your development of getting stronger or becoming the person where you need to be. Because through that struggle, or in other words, trials and tribulation, is where you actually find yourself, you learn different skills, or you pull out a version of yourself that you never knew that was there because you're forced to adapt and become better.
And say, come on.
Yeah, it's because it's
you know, for you cool people, you bring up the feeling, but for real, you are preaching to me right now, because I really believe that God has put me in a mindset of, okay, it's time to get stronger. A few months back, I told God, God, I'm not able to create the way that I want. I'm mommy. I'm wifey. I'm doing all these things, and then bills got to be paid because creatives, sometimes
bills don't wait. Bills don't care. Like, oh, that's all nice, but I'm still coming.
Everybody don't read no more, but that's what that's a whole nother story. But I said, God, I'm going to give you a year of my gifts and talents, all of them, because I know just in the last few years of raising children and putting everything on hold, I haven't been a great steward of my gifts and talents. And I said, I'm going to be deliberate this year about giving my gifts and talents. And I'm honoring that. I'm in the midst of honoring that. And when I tell you it's weight room season right now, Chris, and so you're speaking to me because it is uncomfortable. It is like, it's disappointing. I have had some days where I just boo-hoo and cry after I drop off the children, simply because it's hard. It's hard.
And you're wondering, like, how I'm going to make it through, because it's like, you're in that storm, you're like, how am I going to break out of this? Like, are you serious?
Yes. But I'm reminded that they that wait upon the Lord. I don't know what kind of podcast you promote. And so I really, really, I applaud you for bringing people to the table, giving them a seat at the table to share stories like this, but also for you being very obedient and just hearing God in all of this and not being afraid to encourage, ask the questions that push those of us who are on the other end of this call, because there's definitely truth in what you're saying. Even those of us who are called to inspire need inspiration.
Exactly.
And I'm so thankful for networks, and the networks in which I've met folks like you, because every now and then, everybody can't speak to your life, you know what I'm saying? But every now and then you meet folks who drop something in your spirit and make you remember God has not forgotten, stay the course.
But it's
I don't even know how we ended up there, but I just want to thank you right quick.
But that's the funny thing about life in general, is like you're going through life and you're like, okay, where the heck am I going? Like, man, I just want to turn around, and then you just see little signs that be like, oh, that's interesting, and you be like, that's interesting too. And then you start thinking, be like, well, if I would have stayed on the path that I was going, I would have never connected with him. And then you be like, then you get so far, like, well, it's too late to turn back now.
Right.
might as well go out. I mean, I'm already here. And that's what you got to get into. And it's just one of those things, just always press forward. And here's it's just one of those basic things that I say it basic because sometimes in the midst of a life we make things a lot more clouded than it actually should seem. Because if you ever look through history, every great person, leader, speaker, athlete, and much more had to overcome some kind of adversity, get outside of their comfort zone, and just do something incredible. I mean, we can go down the whole list from like, or since on Black History Month, like Martin Luther King, who had walked the streets and kept a peaceful mind, walking peacefully, even though people talked bad about him, threats and things like that. I mean, that took a lot of courage, because I ain't gonna lie, just being funny, I wouldn't have handled all that. I would have said revoked and be like, okay, that's my last one. You know, things like that. Even from like Tyler Perry, who I think he used a lot of his income tax to just play. And I think like he did the stage play over and over and over again, and the same people kept showing up. But the thing is, though, he stayed consistent and kept faith. And what happened was, he did that show so many times, and people kept telling the story of like, hey, it's great, it's great, it's great. You know, in the beginning, people were gonna be like, oh, whatever. But he kept doing and doing it, and then people were like, you know what? I keep hearing about this story, so let me go ahead and check out the play. So when he did it that next time, you know, that's when it pretty much sold out, because he's kept the faith and stayed consistent on doing it until he blew up. And it's just all about doing that and just keeping faith. And I mean, that goes from the list from more and more from athletes, or even actors who took the risk of going all the way to California. I mean, it's just that grind. It's like, if you
just break it down, everyday people, not just the notables, the everyday people. Like, I can call some names just in my family alone of folks that, other than their gravestone, their name is almost erased from history. But my godmother, Velma Franklin, she never had a child a day in her life, but she took care of so many neighborhood kids, including myself. And I didn't even live in her neighborhood. I drove across town. But she, you know, she got up every day, cooked those, cooked the oatmeal, cooked the grits and the eggs and bacon. Like, she kept on keeping on even after her provider, her husband, passed on. She kept on. And so, like, sometimes we always idolize those who are notables in history, but what I've learned is it's the folks that are down the street, around the corner, who prayed for us, who keep on looking out for us, who nobody outside of that corner of the community knows their name. Those are the folks that they have a story, and I believe that God has definitely put something in me. I want to bring those stories to life. I want to at least let folks know that there are folks that
you may be working on a document.
Maybe what'd you say?
You may be working on a documentary. That may be your project.
You know what? As I'm talking, let me take notes, honey. Podcast on 2/19, whatever today's date is. Yeah, because those are the stories that I really want to bring to light, and I'm believing that God is going to make a way in spite of everything that's going on. I'm going to be able to do that, and I'm going to stand on that. I'm going to stand on that.
Yep. And then the biggest key thing is also, with all this said and more, is like nothing can be done. Well, nothing can be done by yourself. And I maybe paraphrase the quote, but it said basically it's like, if you can do it all by yourself, you're not dreaming big enough. And that really stretches you, because like, if you can do everything on your own, like, you're not really tapping into your biggest potential. Because let's say you got so many skill sets, but you can do something even greater if you can teach others.
Yeah, and that's, I think that's where I've gotten disheartened over time, just in professional life, because I'm looking for that place. I've been looking for that space that will use all my gifts and talents and allow me to have the flexibility and creativity and help me as I join the bandwagon. But sometimes those places don't exist, and we've got to create them. So I definitely feel that quote, like, building your team, building your networks, those people are around you. I can honestly say I was raised kind of to be an introvert. I'm not even gonna lie. I'm an introvert with extrovert tendencies. I always say that.
Gotcha. Step on out.
There's importance. Once you get me going, I'm going. But there's such an importance of having a network that can just have your name in their spirit when they meet the right person. You know, if I'm just one person, I can't be everywhere at the same time.
Right.
But, I might have a friend who is in a network with someone else who can get me where I need to be. And there's beauty in that. There's beauty in that. And because I like connecting people, and God has really been aligning me with folks who connect me as well. So I'm thankful. I'm so thankful.
And that is a big key thing as well. And like, when you start impacting people's lives, the thing is this: when you impact people's lives, that's when all the greatness starts to happen, because you're impacting their lives for the better. You know, and when you start doing that and on a positive role, everything else comes naturally. A lot of times I feel like people, of course, you know, we have bills and things like that, need the money and all that. But when you start impacting people's lives, money will come naturally. Like if you, it's just one of those things. Like you can help one person, you know, this person be on the streets, and you just, you know, give them a piece of bread or some words of encouragement or a smile, just simple little stuff. You never know how life will come back around, and you may be like, okay, you on a downfall, and then you be like sitting on the bench, and they be like, hold on, is this something? Like, I remember you. You know what? And they be like, you know, for that something you did like 2 years ago, I want to give you this, and it may be a check for like encourage me and get my life started. You never know. It's just one of those things.
It's not even, sometimes it's not even about the check. I remember John Osteen used to always quote Luke 6:38, "Give and it shall be given unto you, good measure, pressed down, shaken together, running over, will men given to your bosom." And one of the things that I live by is that, not because I want to receive, but because God always makes a way when I'm gracious.
Makes a way out of no way.
He makes a way. You know, just 2 weeks ago, I was buying somebody some lunch. I was going out of my way to buy somebody some lunch, a young person on their way up. But you know, young people need help sometimes. And while I'm in the line getting them something, a gentleman next to me, he takes out his wallet and says, "Here you go, let me pay for your lunch." Now, I wasn't even buying my food. I was buying somebody else. But he just so happened to be a pastor. You know, didn't know me from Adam. We hadn't spoken at all. But it was in that moment that God kind of reminded me, I got you. And I really firmly believe when you give, it comes back. So you spot on, Chris. You spot on.
Yeah, because you never know. So, like any other topics you want to hit on, because I know we hit about the book, inspirational stories, and then like the core of like, especially bringing awareness to mental awareness and much more. Like, you have any other people you want to put notice to or such?
Yeah, I always want to just, my biggest thing is use your gifts. This world that we live in, sometimes it makes our gifts, it makes us feel like we have to hide our gifts. That's another podcast. One of my biggest inspirations is my husband. He is a musician. He's a church musician. He's a band director, choir director, all kind of things. But he's our number one provider for our family. And there's sometimes where he goes and goes and goes, and you know, he abandons the music production that he does. He abandons the music lessons that he's given in the past before we had a family. And sometimes I have to step back and say, wait a minute, baby. All right, thank you, but I need to go get in that studio and go make some music, because that's what you've been called to do. And you know, I just want to kind of get out there that there might be some folks who have gifts. It might not be music, it might not be writing, it might be something else totally different, out of the box. But because of the world, because of the things and the hustle and bustle of life and the needs of your children, you have had to step aside and say, I'm just gonna put that on the back burner. Then one day you wake up and it's 10 years later and you're trying to figure out, can I still do this? Can these dry bones live, so to speak? And I want to encourage that person, because that's been me. That is me. And it's never too late to start again, because you're right on course with what you need. And so I just want to encourage that person. I want to encourage whoever's listening who might need that, because I don't even know why I'm talking about this. But I want to encourage that person to not hide your gifts. It's time for those gifts to come out from under the rug and move on. And that's all I'm gonna say about that.
Josh Mike. Now, I gotta say a little bit something, because we getting this. Hey, this is getting a little bit too juicy. Yeah. But you know, I'm glad you brought that up, and then I'm gonna let you, and we're gonna close it out. But that is, I think, is the biggest thing. And one of my, I can't believe I forgot his name, but one of my favorite poets said, like, the greatest, one of the most wealthiest places on earth is the graveyard, because so many people's talents, dreams, and much more has left unsaid, unwritten, spoken, and things like that, because they didn't want to shine their light. And this is one thing that, now I'm gonna criticize our own for this. A lot of times when we have talents and things like that, we say don't showboat, or don't show this or show that or do that, because we feel like that's not humble. But no, if you have a talent, expose it, because you never know, there may be one person watching that can actually be that breakthrough. And with you showcasing your talent, for that breakthrough, you can impact your community at a greater level because you show your talent. Your talents were given to be showcased to help somebody, or even provide that inspiration, energy, or impact somebody in some kind of way. But if you don't showcase your talent, you never will impact the people's lives. Because the last thing
yeah, that's the beauty of HBCUs. That's another conversation. But that's where I learned. Like, I was raised in church singing and directing choirs, but never in my wildest dreams was I taught to sing just randomly in public. But I stepped on the campus of Howard University, and I went by that fine ass building, and folks just walking down the street. Ooh yeah, you know what I'm saying? They're just singing full voice. And I was like, oh my gosh, they need to be quiet. But then I was like, no, why do they need to be quiet? Sing, honey, sing. And that's what I'm trying to teach my children. Sing, honey, sing. Speak, honey, speak. Dance, honey, dance. And that's the educator in me. You know, we got to speak to folks starting at a young age, not to just fold when it's showtime, or fold just because you feel like you need to be quiet. No, make your joyful noise, because that's what you were created to do.
Drops mic.
Drops mic, wipes brow, hangs up phone. No, just we're gonna have to do this again.
Keep it so we may have to have a whole series.
Take the show on the road.
Hey, you never know.
I know.
Yep. So with all this said, how can they reach you to stay connected and much more?
Good question. So they can reach me at my website, www.cynaepunchbrown. Let me spell that out for you. CYNAEPUNCHBROWN.com. On Twitter, Cynae Punch Brown. Facebook, Cynae Punch Brown. Like, everything's consistent. I keep it simple. So it's my name. So that's how you can reach me, and I'd love to hear from you. Love for you to just check out my book. You can buy it on my website. You can also buy it on Amazon. Tell a friend, tell a teacher, tell a librarian, tell a pastor.
Tell everybody.
Everybody. Because I'm an artist and I'm sensitive, but I also need to eat. So y'all buy the book.
Got you. Love it. So with all that said and much more, we're going to close it out. It's been another episode of Next Level Think. It's your host, Chris Holmes, always bring you inspiration, guests, positive energy, and much more with my special guest by the name of
Cynae Punch Brown. Don't forget it.
Nice. Peace and much love.